I'm Harris Simmons. I'm the president of Shelter the Homeless, Inc., which is the nonprofit organization which has been tasked with the job of building 3 new shelters here in the Salt Lake Valley. And we're really delighted today to be here at the groundbreaking for the Geraldine E. King Women's Center, which is going to be a great blessing in the lives of a great many women who are experiencing the problems associated with homelessness. We're especially grateful for the contributions of Pat King and his family in honoring their mother and the lead donation they've given to this particular facility. And we'll be hearing from Pat here in just a moment. But we also appreciate the many donors, the numerous organizations that have been working to make this day a reality as we begin the construction of these new resource centers. Shelter the Homeless is expecting to open this new facility in July of 2019. And this is going to be a model for how we help and serve clients and provide them a way to move quickly out of emergency shelter and into housing and a more stabilized life of independence. Each resource center is designed to serve a specific population. This center will be for single women. It's a 200-bed, 60,000-foot facility. And we intend to be great neighbors here in this neighborhood. We're going to hear first this morning from Pat King. We'll then hear from Salt Lake County Mayor Ben McAdams, who's also a board member of Shelter the Homeless. And then from Salt Lake City Mayor Jackie Biskupski, who is also a Shelter the Homeless board member. Then from Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox, also a member of our board. And then we'll proceed to the groundbreaking ceremony. So, Pat, I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Harris. I would like to thank a few people first. First, the 2 mayors, Ben, the county mayor, and Jackie, the city mayor. They have been extremely helpful through this process. Some other people, Tiffany helped me. She introduced me to both the mayors when I wanted to give this gift. So I'd like to thank Tiffany, Charlene, Alex, Janelle, Preston now, and all the Shelter for the Homeless board. You've all been great in accomplishing what we want to accomplish here. About my mom and her legacy, when I look at the goals and the objectives of this resource center, it tracks my mom. Most of the women that come here will have had significant adversity. My mom had adversity. At 32, she had 7 children and was alone and had no support. This center will help people, give them hope and help people. My mom got some hope and help from her sister, her mother, and she went on public assistance. Hopefully, with the help the women get, they will become, the majority will become self-sufficient. My mom basically took part-time jobs, finally went to work at the VA hospital washing glass in the lab, and after 30 years became a GS-11. So she became self-sufficient. After you become self-sufficient, hopefully you want to give back. And giving back is the ultimate satisfaction of ever receiving any assistance. So my mom, just for an example, I pulled her a 13 tax return. She had $6,000 of Social Security, $37,000 from a VA, from the federal pension. That's not bad. and she had given back $12,000 to 24 different organizations, or 28% of her gross income. So basically, my mom's legacy is self-sufficiency and giving back. And ultimately, the greatest thing that could happen is that the legacy of the Geraldine E. King Women's Resource Center will be self-sufficiency and giving back. Thank you, and thank you very much for all for coming.
Well, thank you again, and Pat, thank you again. I had the opportunity to talk to you beforehand, but you have been so inspiring from that. I still remember that December day when you asked to meet with me and wanted to convey your interest in supporting a women's facility just like this one. So it's been a long road, but here we are, and thank you for inspiring all of us to step up and to continue with this effort. This day has been a long time in coming. But thanks to the efforts of many officials and hundreds of individuals, we are taking a big step forward today to minimize homelessness. When the Gerald E. King Homeless Resource Center opens a year from now, it will help launch a new model for our community to both help those in need and ensure a safe and welcoming neighborhood for everyone. It will be a roof and 4 walls. It'll be a warm, dry place to sleep and food to eat. It'll be a safe space, staffed by caring individuals. It will offer access to basic medical care, but it will be so much more than that. The women who find shelter here may be at a low point in their lives when they come in. But through this new shelter model and the program-rich environment that will support that model, they will find a way up and a way out of their challenges and a way out of homelessness. Because of the work of so many of our collective impact partners and the people who serve on our collective impact committee, we understand the homeless services system, we understand its strengths and its weaknesses so much better today than when we started. Minimizing and preventing homelessness should not begin and end at the door of a resource center. It must begin earlier, and it will probably continue beyond the shelter stay as we make sure that the individuals who leave these facilities are stable and they become self-sufficient and self-reliant. We know that by taking the steps of building and operating smaller resource centers like we're doing today, we can focus on the individual needs of those who are fleeing domestic violence or struggling with the disease of addiction. Sadly, there are many different paths that someone can travel to wind up without a decent, stable home. But with the programs and the knowledge that we have, we will help women and many others find their singular path to stability, to self-sufficiency, and to self-reliance. I'm grateful for the support of the Salt Lake County Council, for the tireless efforts from members of our Collective Impact Committee, to Lieutenant Governor Cox and to Speaker Hughes, for the state commitment, and I'm humbled by and grateful for the generosity of Pat King. I also look out over the audience and see many people who have done so much. I'm not going to mention them today, but I'm inspired by each and every one of you and all that you've brought to this process. Thank you. Pat, what a tribute to your beloved mother that you would step forward as a private citizen and say, I want to help. I only wish that I could have met her and gotten to know her, that she would raise an incredible son like you, and for all the inspiration that she's given to each and every one of us. This resource center and others like it will be a fundamental part of how we reach our goal of making homelessness brief, rare, and not repeated. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here this morning. I've been looking out at the audience here, and we have been working on this for years, and almost every single one of you are somebody I recognize from working together through this endeavor. So thank you to all of you for the role you have played in getting us here today. It has been a long road and certainly not always an easy one, but today we are gathered together to begin the construction of a new homeless resource center, a space of hope for women in our community. As mayor of Salt Lake City, I am incredibly proud of my team, a group of individuals who helped us meet this deadline, individuals who were driven to complete this work by a passion to keep those in need in our community first and foremost. Dan Ripp from our real estate division, Sean Fife, the city architect, David Gellner, the principal planner on this project, Liz Bueller and the community engagement team, the mayor's office of community empowerment, and of course, all of our teams at Salt Lake City Police Department. Each of them have worked with others in City Hall and around this community to ensure that Salt Lake City met its deadlines and kept its promise to find a new path forward for those who are experiencing homelessness. Thank you. I have tremendous, deep appreciation for all of you in the work you have been doing. Over the past 2 years, I have also been incredibly fortunate to meet and hear from many in our community whose compassion and personal stories have inspired me, especially during some of the most difficult times in this process. Amy Wadsworth, the principal of the Salt Lake Arts Academy, right next door, sent a letter to the parents of her school, and here's what it said. As an urban school, the homeless have always been with us. It is part of our mission to teach our children to understand issues facing their city and help them be empathetic and creative in how to solve the problem. This is how we work in Salt Lake City. This was not just a mission for local school children. It is a mission for all of us who want change, who want to move forward, and who want to truly help. I have always kept close to my heart the experience of meeting the women of the House of Hope Choir. Not long after the sites were selected, they came to my office and shared their stories of resilience as they fought against addiction. Their desire to find a new path forward and to reunite with their families has continued to inspire me through this process. These women reminded me and reminded our community that where we build opportunity and ensure equity is where we create hope and prosperity. Today, we begin building yet more opportunities right here on this location. This opportunity will bring new hope to many residents who will find shelter and, more importantly, stability in their lives inside this new resource center. This opportunity will bring new hope to our entire city as we shift toward a model focused on moving individuals from homelessness to housing. I am incredibly proud of the city and the people who live here. I am grateful for this opportunity to be a part of this groundbreaking, once again highlighting the compassion of the people of the capital city, their willingness to do what is right and fulfill our moral obligation to help one another, especially when we are in need. Thank you for coming today.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here with you today representing Governor Herbert and the state of Utah. Thanks to all of you for taking time to be here on this very special occasion. We have recognized for some time that homelessness is not just a city issue, and this is a huge change. It's a cultural change, and I think it's a very important change. What you're seeing today, I think we may take for granted here in Utah, but I assure you, as I've talked to my colleagues across the country, they're looking at Utah and asking the question, how on earth are you able to do this? We don't get to a place where the city mayor, the county mayor, the state of Utah, the legislature are all working together, and more importantly, the private sector is stepping up in such a big way. Mr. King, thank you for your generosity. This is what makes Utah such a special place. As I look at the net worth of this crowd out here, it's very impressive. And the fact that all of us, government, private sector, nonprofit sector, faith-based sector, are all united in focusing on the most vulnerable amongst us tells you everything that you need to know about the state of Utah and about where our priorities are and how we care about each other. Now, I'm very lucky. I get to chair the State Homeless Coordinating Committee, something I knew absolutely nothing about before I became the lieutenant governor. And this is one of the sad realities. We don't have homelessness in Fairview or in Sanpete County where I live, because if you don't have a home, you come to Salt Lake City. And that's why it's a state issue. That's why it was time for us to come together. On that committee that I chair, though, we are represented with mayors from Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City, South Salt Lake, Ogden, Midvale, and St. George. We're getting this slice of mayors from all across the state that are working on homelessness, as well as, of course, local community leaders, business leaders, and volunteers. Now, it's important to point out the contribution of the state, and our legislature isn't represented here today, but I want to thank them so much for their willingness to step up in a very big way, led by Speaker Hughes and Representative Francis Gibson, and the Senate also stepped up, President Wayne Niederhauser, to help fund this, again, in ways that the state has never been asked to do before. There were, in addition to the $20 million that are going to the development and construction of these 3 new resource centers, there's been an additional allocation of $13 million in new funds in recent years for homelessness programs statewide, as well as providing $5 million in support for public safety to help ensure that people experiencing homelessness can safely access the services and that Utah residents are protected as well. I also want to point out that it's no coincidence that the location of this center is directly across the street from the Department of Workforce Services. John Pierpont, the director who is here with us today, as well as his team, has been so instrumental in working through Operation Rio Grande, the development of these new resource centers, and providing the services that are going to change lives and make a difference. So thank you to them. Look, we build a lot of buildings in this state. It's one of the things we do, and every year the legislature gives more money to help build buildings. Again, I joke that I should be driving around with a giant pair of scissors in my car because I get to go to a lot of ribbon cuttings, and a year from now we're going to be back here cutting a ribbon in front of a gorgeous new building. You can see you can see a picture of what it's going to look like right there. And it's going to be incredible, and we're going to be very proud, and the architecture is going to be first rate, and the grounds are going to be just incredible. And we're all going to pat each other on the back, and we should, because we're working on this project together, and it's a really big deal. And I'm here to tell you that none of that matters at all. What matters are the people that are going to be going through that front door. The women who are coming from domestic violence, who are struggling with addiction, who have lost their families, who have lost all hope, and this is their last chance. That's what this is all about. It's about them. Just yesterday, a friend of mine who works for the Department of Workforce Services and has been spending time down in the Rio Grande area, he shared a story on social media about a young man and his wife who came looking for his mom who he hadn't seen for a long, long time, not knowing where she was, not knowing if she was still alive, not knowing anything about it. And he went down and he said, "Is there any chance that my mom is here?" Because of the new record keeping that we're doing in that area, they were able to log in. They found her. They sent the law enforcement in to go through and see if they could find where she was. And about 15 minutes later, they found her, and she walked out. And he described the tears of joy of this young man finding his mom. She was struggling, obviously, or she wouldn't be there. But as they were reunited, the tears of joy, they were able to take her away from that place and take her home with them to help her get what she needed to get back on her feet, to regain that hope and that spark, and to see that family reunion happen made it all worth it for him, and I hope it makes it all worth it for us. Look, I'm really excited about the women that are going to be coming into this place, but I'm much more excited for the day when it will be empty and no one will be coming through the doors because we've invested in keeping people from becoming homeless in the first place, which is where we want to spend most of our time. But knowing that when they do, that when they're here, that it's brief and that we get them out, we get them the tools they need, and we get them back on their feet. I know that's why you do what you do. I know that's why the King family has donated so much of their personal wealth to help other people. I know it's why we're all here this morning, and I hope we never lose sight of that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your donations. But most importantly, thank you for your compassion, for caring about the most vulnerable amongst us. And may God bless us all as we strive to lift those in need. Thank you.
Thank you all. And before we break ground, I'd like to just three other quick thanks. One to Gail and Kim Miller and your family for a phenomenal donation that's going to be used in large part to support the services that are provided in this new resource center. Second, I want to thank Kim Gardner, Kim and your team for a very generous donation of time and a lot of effort and in the project management that's been contributed to this and the other resource center projects that are going on right now. And finally, to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for making this location available and for a very generous financial contribution as well. Without these, we wouldn't be here today, and we really appreciate that.